All right, let's jump right into this and get some stuff done here. So I've got a 10 by 8 canvas set up here, and I've got a few things we're going to do and work on. I've loaded a bunch of my stencils from my stencil pack. If you don't have that, it's over on Rebelle or Patreon, over on Patreon or Gumroad, either one, and you can get them here. But I've got different ones like moons and stars and trees and rocks and pebbles and so forth. So we're going to do a nighttime painting, and we're going to work on laying out basically a starscape, and from there do a northern lights perhaps, and some mountains and maybe some trees. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of this kind of off-white background, and let's go over here to the color library. I'm going to go let's see, how about we just go to the default colors? Why not? So let's get rid of that. I'm going to take this bluish color, which is kind of purplish blue, and we're going to desaturate that quite a bit and bring it closer to the blue side. And we're going to lower the hue, the value, now that we've got our hue fixed. So I want to bring that down to almost black, like so. And then we're just going to come over to the fill bucket, and on properties, we'll just leave it normal. Could go gradient, but I think I'm just going to fill this in like so. Now the next thing I want to do is add in some color, some different color, because I want to do like the Milky Way in the background, and then some northern lights on top of that. So kind of get build the dimension there. So let's go with maybe a lighter blue. We could even just go with this blue and just maybe add a little bit of quote-unquote white to it, and bring that down just a little bit like so. Grabbing, I've got my cat's tongue here and the grass brush and all that. It doesn't really matter because we're going to blur some of this out. So let's go over, let's grab that smudge stick. I like that one. I'm going to use my brackets to change the size, and let's just kind of hang on 2 seconds. My pen's not working for some reason. I just charged it. There we go. It's kind of weird. Hope that means my other one's not going bad. Alright, so just want to lay some of this in here. Blend it around. And let's grab maybe this purplish color here and add some of that in there. Like so. And we can even go with a little bit of this lighter bluish color. And desaturate that. Something like that. And go down to the grunge brushes. Let's just pick grunge 3. And I'm going to press 4 to go to the blending. Don't really care for that one. Let me go to the next one. It's actually pretty soft. That's a little better. Kind of a little bit of what I'm looking for. I'm just going to kind of swirl this around. Like so. Change grunge brush again. I'll switch over to this impasto brush. It's going to give me a little bit more of what I'm looking for. Lower the opacity down. Alright, so we're just going to kind of soften some of this in here. Like so. Okay. Now let's grab a little bit more blue. Bring this down. Just kind of build that out a little bit. Go just a little bit brighter. I know that's like crazy bright, but it's fine. Okay, something along those lines. Now let's grab a little bit more purple. Kind of smudge that in as well. Something like that. Maybe drag some of this off over here a little bit. Okay, now I want to put just a little bit. Well, let's start with this again. Just blend that around. So there we go. I think that's going to give us the foundation we want. So I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to grab a stencil. And I'm going to come over here and let's grab space. Now you notice I've got two, space and stars. They're just slightly different. Stars has a little bit bigger ones in it. And again, these are all in my brush set and stencil set. So now I'm going to go here and really desaturate that. I want to leave just a slight blue that is ever so slightly not completely white. And I'm going to switch to the airbrush. And I'm just going to run that down along through here. Real quick with the fill button. I sometimes forget that you can just fill it like that. But I do like the, if you hold shift and bring this over, it's going to give you a little bit different. And let's go ahead and border. Zoom it out. Give it a quick rotate. Like so. Click on it and then hit backspace and hit point, and that brings us into here. So now we've got some of those. Now the reason I did this on another layer is because I'm going to hit protect lock transparency, and I'm going to go from this light blue to a little bit whiter. I'm going to grab the airbrush. I'm going to lighten up some of these here and there. Properties. Make sure it's on that. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go over towards this pinkish color. Hit a few here and there with that. It's a really subtle thing, but it's kind of a cool thing to do it like that. So you've got just different temperature stars kind of in there. Whoops, I didn't mean to grab that one again. Backspace. Stars. Okay. And we'll go with hit L. And I'm going to grab pure white. Oh, I've got lock transparency on. Duh. There we go. I've got this Pebbles one, which let me show you kind of what that does. I'm going to bring that size up. So it's really kind of intense. But I can bring it down and just kind of go along, clicking here and there. Sometimes it's easier just to use the mouse. And you can make little random spots here and there, but you can also come down to some of the grunge, or you can even jump over to the spatter brushes and the watercolor. Let's change that water. It's because it's transparent. It's going to kind of pick up some of the remaining. I'm just using my really light pressure here. Kind of spatter that up through there. Hit F to fast dry that. I didn't realize my water was still set so high. I'm going to undo that. Dry the layer. So I just really want to build up these stars, even though we're going to kind of go over them. Alright, there we go. I'll turn that tilt off too. Alright, so we've got that on there. So we've got the stars. And you can see how that kind of pushes that back. Alright, that's kind of what this painting is all about, is pushing stuff back. So let's make a new layer. Alright, I'm going to grab something maybe like this grass brush or rough wet brush. And on this new layer, we'll start with this kind of purpley color. Really desaturate it and come down here in the middle. Something along the lines of that. Turn the opacity. Let's see what it looks like, about 32, 33%, something like that. I want to lay in kind of an idea of the aurora borealis. So this is very vertical, and these are kind of slightly horizontal, but really all over the place. But I want something that's going to kind of break up that vertical and really kind of push this around. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to push 4. I'm just going to soften this up by just swirling it. Kind of like so. and then down. I'm going to jump down here. Kind of lower the opacity a little bit of those stars. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. Again, a good portion of those we're going to lose. Alright, so something. Well, not. Maybe add a little bit more here and there. We're just trying to get that sweeping motion that it sometimes has. Like so. Just kind of softening this up. Like so. Alright. So again, this is going to start pushing those back a little bit. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make a new layer. Grab a little bit of this yellow. Orange, green. Wow, I can't talk. Lay a little bit of that in there. Just talking ahead of what I was going to do. A little bit of yellow. This really bright green. Press 4. Really kind of smudge those together. Now I'll press Alt and grab that green. And what I'm going to do is just kind of bring this up and around. Press 4. And I'm just going to build up the wispiness of it. And the more you spread it around, the more transparent some parts of it get. But it is going to have a little bit of opacity. It's going to start pushing those stars back. So the key to this is just lay it in and then go back and soften it out. We'll come in and put some more of these really vivid parts here, but I just want to really build this up. And I'm going to start going a little bit of vertical on these as well. Eventually the bottom is going to be the part that's got the real, again, just going up and down right here. The bottom is going to be the part that's really kind of the brightest part. And see, so I'm leaving some of those streaks here and there. So it's just a matter of kind of playing around with it. I'm going to bring this size down so I can really add a few more of those in. Press 4. Just go vertical. And then kind of swirl it around a little bit. Kind of like so. Let's add maybe a little bit over here. here. Maybe some just kind of fading off into there. Four, make it a little bit bigger. Swirl it off. So I'm keeping some of that streaky, but at the same time obliterating it. There we are. Now let's come into here, kind of sticking with where that's at. Let's go over towards this purplish color. Let's add a little bit of that color in as well. Because we've actually had the northern lights come all the way down here to where I'm at in the lower part of the US. And they're kind of this purplish, greenish, pinkish kind of color for us. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to capture. Put a little bit in here. Alright, press 4. Just kind of scrub those together a little bit. Get a little bit of that blended color. One of the advantages of blending on your palette versus blending the blending tool, they have a tool that you can use to blend colors with. I prefer to do it on the canvas. And if there's any of this that you really like let's see, I really like how this looks right through here. I could make a new layer so I don't obliterate that by accident. And keep it. So if there's anything you like, just make a new layer above it. And keep it. A little bit more of this vertical action. Some of this. But you can see how that by going over this way, it's kind of changing it some. And really affecting it. And you can even go into some of this back here, like if you like. You want that to maybe look less like the Milky Way and more like some of the Aurora Borealis stuff. You can go in and just play around with that as well. That's the nice thing too about digital. I don't have to worry about, erasing anything or anything. If I keep it on layers, I can go back and change it because maybe I want to get rid of some of these stars. I can go back and do that here in a minute. It's not a big deal. Alright, so keeping this, I'm going to come over here to this reddish color. Just kind of bring that down through here as well. Hit 4. A bit of vertical smudging. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that. I know I want to have a mountain in here, so I'm going to come up here and I want to make a new layer. Drag it to the top. I'm going to grab my selection tool and we'll go with Add To. All that. And the reason I did Add To is because if I see something that I want to change kind of the contour, I can do that just by clicking and adding to it, like so. Okay. Now I'm going to come in here real quick, and I'm not going to go black. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this color, press B, select that color, go a little bit darker, and fill it. So that's going to give me an idea of where I'm going to have my mountain. And anywhere that I want to kind of adjust it, I can. But see how that kind of pushes, again, adds another layer, pushes it back further. Alright, so now I'm going to grab a little bit of this orange. I'm going to go below the mountain. Right now I'm going to turn the mountain on to protect transparency. I'm going to come between these two. I'm going to add some orange. Because I've got a lot of bluish colors and cool colors, so I want to add a little bit of interest back through here. Press 4. Soften that out a little bit. Kind of fade it up in. Take advantage of some of the streakiness of this brush. So this came to mind because I had seen forever ago Jerry Arnell paint a similar painting, and I'm sure his was better than mine, but similar painting where he just had the Aurora Borealis kind of kicked off in the background of a mountain. Oops. And I got to thinking about it. I thought, you know, I want to do something similar. I'm going to change to flat round. Yeah, because I want a little bit cleaner paint in here. I'm going to lower that size too. I'm going to press 4. And I'm going to kind of streak this across so that it's maybe a little bit more reminiscent of clouds. I have seen some Aurora Borealis where you can see them even though the sun's not fully set. And just kind of a wispy back and forth. But anyway, yeah, watching Jerry Arnell and others like Bob Ross, Bill Alexander, and those guys really influenced me. And then, of course, all the traditional painters, as far as like the big known ones for the like Sargent, Wyeth, so forth. Just slightly coming across. So this is again giving us another change of angle for the colors and stuff. Just making it more intriguing to me. And we can just kind of fade it off into the, you know, because maybe it is part of the Aurora Borealis, we don't know. As Bob Ross would say, this is your world. Do with it what you want. That's kind of my favorite phrase, but anyway. Put more of that up here. And all I did was just grab it and smear it over. Then we can also kind of go those horizontal strokes again. And so see, it's kind of a good blend of back and forth. I think these stars are kind of bugging me. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab the spatter eraser. And I'm just going to kind of hit them here and there. Push them back a little bit. Not all of them. some, especially down here in some of these brighter spots. And the nice thing about using the spatter brush is that it really kind of skips some here and there, and so it leaves some, takes some. There we go. That's better. Not nearly as distracting. Okay. And I'm going to press B and go back to my fat round. Okay. And let's grab a little yellow. Kind of a similar thing here. Kind of like that. Press 4. Just going to come back in. Soften it around. That could be a number of things that's off in the distance. It could be a forest fire. It could be clouds from a sunset. It could be just an absolute number of things. It just adds the interest. And again, we're just keeping these really loose kind of strokes and using impressionism to kind of imply what's there and give that impression. I'm going to grab this green. I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to really kind of push some of this now. Just like that. And push 4. And I'm going to give this more of a vertical kind of treatment. And I'm going to do it again over here. Make it a really big section of it. Like so. Press 4. Like that. Really kind of bring those together a little bit. Kind of swirl it. And then vertical. And I want to add blue to that. Add some of this blue. Yeah, I think that gives a little bit of pop. Just kind of bring some of those together. I may add a little bit over here. Swirl it. Like so. Press 4 and vertical it. Just kind of try and blend some of this together a little bit more so that it looks a little bit better. There we go. And if there's any of these that you're like, hey, I don't know if I like that there, you can always come down here and push 5. Kind of clean some of those out if you want to. Actually, I'm going to take this one and right click it and merge layers. So now all my Borealis is on one layer. And on here I can press 5. I may even drop down to this one. Oops. I forgot that's actually on top of a white background, so I'll just get the background color. Kind of soften that a little bit. Press 4. Yeah, and that's the thing. One of the great things about digital painting is that you can change stuff on the fly. To me, that looks a little washed out through here. So I can add a little bit of dark spots. Press 4. Press 1. I keep thinking an erase, but it's not what I want. Should have made the canvas this color instead of the paint layer over top. There we go. I think that adds a little bit better look to it. Okay. So I'm going to put some more of this yellow in here. I kind of like that. I like the glow that it gives. The same for the orange. And what the heck, let's go with a little bit of this really red. There we go. That really kind of pulls that together. Something like that. Alright. Alright, so now I've selected this color by pushing Alt and clicking on it. That selects it. Now I'm going to come over here and go towards the purple, a little bit up here. Let's see how that looks. It's a little light, so push 4, blend it, which dulls it, and get that color there. And I may even switch to my impasto. Just kind of lay this in. And I've got the lock transparency on, so I can just go right off this. So again, this is just really subtle. Just trying to lay it in a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to grab this, which is a little bit lighter, and I'm going to switch over to the smudge stick. Just kind of bring it in. I do have my stencil over here. Mountain, kind of a rocky stencil I've made, which has a bunch of different textures in it. But I can just move it around, kind of find a way that I like. I can also flip horizontal, because maybe I want to have this angled more like this. Now I can come in and just quickly add some texture. That will break it up. And you could sit here and paint this by hand if you want. Stencils are just ways to make your life a little bit quicker and easier. See how that quickly adds in that feel. This stencil, you can just grab bits and pieces of it here and there. Like so. You can even press shift, stretch it, so you get a whole different view and feel for it. See, layer it a little bit. Bring it over, flip horizontal. Something like that, and then just kind of come in. As you can see, like with this smudge stick, how it does very similar. But the other one just kind of breaks it up a little quicker, gives me a better quick feel of everything. It's kind of like that. Alright, so I'm going to click on this and then backspace to hide it. I'm going to go in here and click on that, come up here, desaturate, go a little bit brighter. Yeah, that's going to give me a bit more of the look I want. Now we're not going to go real bright with this because remember it's backlit from all the lights. I may even switch over to this impasto brush again. Or even something like the cat tongue, where it's a little bit more solid. And press 4. And I can come over here and click on that mountain stencil and it's going to bring it back up. Maybe press 4, kind of smear that around a little bit. Can even invert it. Like so. And then grab a little bit of this darker color. Break that up a little bit. Like so. Grab this. Alright. Put in a few swaths. I'll go back to this impasto brush. I kind of liked the effect it was getting. Just a bit more. You can also come over and go with something like the knife grainy. just kind of start laying that in a little bit. You can even go with like the soft brush. I'm going to add just a bit more purple to that. Yeah, there we go. It's getting a little too monotonous in the color, so I want to just kind of smear in some purplish color. So this just is like some smooth snow areas. Leave a little bit of that rough at the top there. Just kind of make it all kind of come together a little bit. Just trying to smear some of this in, leaving a few gaps here and there. Now, part of this looks a little weird to me anyway, because we don't have anything here really for scale. Okay, so let's add in some scale pieces. And to do that, we're going to grab some of these trees. Forest Grove is one of my favorites. I'm going to bring it back over here, zoom in, turn off lock transparency. I'm going to grab this color, just kind of bring that in there. And I can overlap these a little bit, bring it down. Now this one tree right here is pretty distinctive, so I may skip it for this version of it right there. See, so that breaks it up. And I may be like, well, let me bring in a little bit of it, this here, to kind of break that up as well. Maybe just up here along this mountainside, because you're going to have trees that are similar. I mean, you know, trees beget trees. So it's fine if there's some repeats here and there, but you just don't want it to look like you've used a stencil. And you can even flip it horizontal. Even turn it slightly, because maybe the land is a little odd. Like so. Maybe bring that down a little bit. Put another one of those trees there. So when you do this, make sure to keep kind of stepping back from it by zooming out. Let's see how that starts to kind of tie all that together. Okay, now I want to do another set of trees. We'll go with this one. We're going to make these bigger, and I'm going to hold shift and make them skinnier. And again, one of the things I've done before, which is kind of cool to do, is to do these on a separate layer. And that way, if you want to, like, say you lay them out and you're like, I don't like that tree there, then it makes it a lot easier to move it around. Don't do what I just did, which is paint on the outside of the stencil. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of that one. Like so. And you can overlap them a little bit so that you get part of a tree on top of another tree. And that really helps to kind of break it up. Okay. Alright, and let's do maybe one like this pine tree. Maybe it's over here. Something like that. So again, it's going to be really subtle. Kind of like that. And I can come down here at the bottom, press 4. Just kind of smear that around a little bit. Something along those lines. Okay. And then maybe, let's see, maybe this, no, that's the one I just had a minute ago. Go with something like these guys. Maybe put them right about here. And I'm just going to click on that. I don't know why it's being buggy. Border it. Grab the fill bucket, fill it. Right click on it and get rid of it. Okay. I'll go back to my brush. And I can come in here. Oops, press 1. Kind of add a little bit of variety. I can even grab this snowy color here. Maybe change it just a little bit so there's some green in it. Kind of a greenish blue. There we go. Okay, need to bring that up in value just a little bit. And if I want to make this a little bit easier, I can grab something like this one. Kind of line it up. Break it up just a little bit. I think this will work better with just doing it by hand. Don't be afraid if you use a stencil to change it. So maybe you want to break it up a little bit. Select the darker color, make a little bit more of a brush. Change that opacity. And just kind of throw in these spots where maybe snow is on it or something. Kind of smudge it back a little bit. Zoom back out a little bit, so that's even pushing that the mountain back now. I'm going to select this T, move it over just a little bit, bring it together a little bit. D. So that's just like that. I can redo my composition. Break these up a little bit. So by having this green in here, I'm kind of getting some of the sky color kind of reflected in it. And you can even use a different brush. So like if you want to use this little knife texture brush. So don't be afraid to kind of play around with the brushes. Grunge brushes work really well for doing these. And just the important part with this is make sure you leave these spaces of negative space here. And so you find something interesting. You can have one kind of blend into the other. Kind of like that. And if you want that grainier, you can switch to a different one. Go a little bit grainier with it. Go smaller. And just kind of play around with the size and the pressure. And then I'm going to grab 4 and just kind of blend these bottoms into the snow below it. Something like that. Can even grab this, kind of lay that in there a little bit more. Just kind of soften it. You can reflect some of that up in here too. Which kind of helps pull it all together. The only problem with that, doing that too much like that, is that it's going to look like it's the rocks. So that's why I went with this kind of a greener color. All I'm doing over here is just kind of pushing that around a little bit. Kind of like that. Kind of the same thing over here, just kind of make this blend in. Can even kind of push some of that back. And this is not our focus. You know, the focus is the sky. But if this is off too much, it's going to distract from the sky. So we just want something that's going to kind of blend in down here. Okay. Now I'm going to add a few back here. grab this again, bring it up in size, bring it over here, maybe something like that. Come in here. And this, I'm just going to go with this darker color. Border. Just want the tops. And see how that kind of leaves that little area down here where it looks like it kind of fades into a mist or something? That's what I wanted. Alright, let's do a few things here in the front to just kind of help tie this all together. We're going to go with the bullet. We're going to bring this down in size. We're going to come up here to the trees. And we're just going to add some grasses. Stuff in the front. Just a little bit here and there. And I can even grab and then back through here, just add a few. This will help with scale. Kind of like that. Okay. Just want to break some of this up. And this pen worked great for that, because it gives you kind of a crisp line. Kind of break these up a little bit. Kind of like that. I'm going to come down here to this mountain layer. I'm going to grab, let's see, I guess the smudge stick, put it on 4, bring the opacity down, and I want to just kind of come in here on this edge. And just kind of break it up a little bit. So it doesn't look so cut out. There we go. Just again, like I said, we're breaking up the edge of that mountain. It's a subtle thing. It's kind of an important thing. Alright. Come back down here. Gonna go with that fat round again. I'm gonna grab this orange. Kind of come across these trees a little bit to help them stand out a little more. I'm looking for something real quick. I thought there was a key that'll let us flip the screen. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different program. Alright, so I'm going to add some of that streaky. So I'm going to come down here to the flat hairy. Lower the opacity. And a little bit of yellow, just kind of some highlights to kind of help tie stuff together. There we go. And this is really where you can start kind of playing around with how much you want bright colors and angles. To kind of play in. Because these really do vary, but I think having some of these brighter colors kind of weave through can really help sell the feeling. All I did there was just add a little bit more white. Saturate that a little more. Try and play some of these complementary colors off of each other. And I kind of like the tension of playing this back and forth of, is it a cloud? Is it the aurora coming up into it? Is it a little bit of both? Now I'm going to merge these, and I want to go to press T, warp, and I'm going to bring this up. I want to kind of shift some of this, give it a little bit more of that ethereal, wispy kind of feel. Something like that. Now I'm going to press 4. Kind of fix some of those transformation giveaways. By just kind of giving this a little vertical nudge. Oops. Alright, so I think that is kind of interesting. Now I want to do one more thing, and then I'm going to stop puttering around with it. I want to add just a few little clouds kind of coming across. Just to kind of break it up a little bit. Just want to flatten that out a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to grab a little bit, maybe that blue. Press 4. Just trying to see if I like this here or not. Maybe bring it off to the side so it's not so interfering. And maybe something's kind of moving in. Yeah. Again, a subtle thing. But just another one of those little bits and pieces that's make it fine. I'd be like, oh, cool, there's something there. Alright, I think that is probably going to be it. I may try one more thing real quick. I have this crescent moon stencil. I'll put it on another layer. I'm going to border it. Get rid of that. T. Actually, I'm just going to do this. That doesn't look right. So, second verse, same as the first. Just kind of come in through here. Do a little bit of this. A little bit around here. I made this from a picture I did of the moon. Just kind of blend these together now. See how that looks. Let's lock the transparency there for a second. Grab this bluish color. Fade that into it. There we go. Just a little bit more rim light there. Alright, I think we are good. Kind of like this one. Kind of takes me back several years watching this show. Let's go back and watch it and see if I remember it, how close I am to it. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting and got something out of it. You can play and putter around with it as much as your heart desires to get kind of the feel and look that you want. So let me know what you do. Love to see it. I'll see you on the next one.